my name is Notepad Anon, and I write games for fun. So what are we doing today? Today we're going to be working on Fear and Hunger Forgotten Chronicles yet again. And there's been there's been some changes. There has been some changes. There's been some small changes to things, and by that I wrote all the equipment. Yeah. Yeah, no, so I wrote combat. Yeah, we got some things fixed there. We finally put in the block action. I clarified some bits and pieces here to make it work a little bit better. I'm using the Shadow of the Demon Lord. I changed the initiative to a system reminiscent of Shadow of the Demon Lord. I'm thinking that will help in a lot of cases. It won't be perfect, but it should work. I also ended up having to add a few more status effects for different weapons and such as brain damage. Brain damage was one, concussed, different eye traumas, severe organ damage, and shattered bone. And that was because when I was doing weapons, I realized that I had no distinction between cutting and blunt weapons. So I had to kind of take a compromise on that situation, so I ended up having to do that. There's technically two damage types. There's sharp and there's blunt. Technically, if a limb is destroyed using a blunt weapon, it's crippled. If it's destroyed using a sharp weapon, it's cut off. However, if someone were to cripple you, it's still at 0. So if they keep hitting you, you're still going to go into 0. You're still losing health, and you're still dying if someone is caving in your skull, and you will die. You will die very quickly because you're just going to keep getting everything reduced. So yeah, you get let's see. So one of the major things there is you end up with a lot of result of crippled. Usually it's a coin flip. For head, it's brain damage or concussion, and for guts, it's going to be severe organ damage. Severe organ damage sucks. You do not want severe organ damage, because that's going to permanently reduce your health. And that's kind of the big thing when it comes to status. The new status effects is punishment. You break a bone, it's shattered. It literally cannot support their weight or carry anything. Your arms, bones are less broken. They are more small shards that occasionally hurt. They're useless to you. You're going to have to numb that pain using a lot of drugs. But don't worry, it's fine. Then we did items and equipment. Whew, there was a lot of stuff. That was a lot of things and a lot of parts, and I do not regret it one bit. It wasn't going to be fun. I knew it wasn't going to be fun, but I did it. I broke them down to a few categories, namely medicines and tinctures, which is various items, medical tools, herbs and smokables, prosthetics. Pretty much all of this is based on just medical stuff. Everything does something, and that was like one of the key things that I wanted to get across early on, is that there's always an option, but you may not have the resources to do it, or you may not have the ability to find it. Do you use an orange vial? Do you save it? Do you use the elixir of mine? Do you save it? It's always a back and forth. Do I save the thing or do I use it? Because it could be useful later. Or it's like, I'm not going to get the full effect out of it. So, and then medical tools are things that you need to do something else. It's things like, oh, yeah, barber kit's going to help you cure severe physical trauma so you can actually heal the limb. Splints fix fractured bones. Pipes allow you to smoke things. Bone saw allows you to remove infections quickly. If you don't have the ability to get rid of an infection, it may be best just to chop the limb off. That may be your best option. Then you get things like trauma kits, which allow you to do two things, four uses, and be like, oh, wow, this is really useful, but it's more expensive. And it's also, well, valuable. Do you really want to use it? Or do you want to wait on it? Do you want to sit on it? Because you always want to sit on things. And we have our various herbs and smokables. And finally, our only four, technically, prosthetics. Hook hand, peg leg, simple prosthetic arm, simple prosthetic leg. This is on purpose. I didn't really want to go into like a really deep set of prosthetics because I didn't feel it was that appropriate. And I still want the punishment of I have lost a arm, I have lost a leg to feel permanent. And you're still losing the ability to dodge effectively. So it's like, yeah, you have a peg leg, I can walk, I just can't. I'm losing that ability to with my real legs. Food stuff. Added a bunch of foods. Not, funnily enough, not actually everything from Fear and Hunger. I actually combined a few things, mostly because there's a lot of goddamn things in Fear and Hunger. A lot of vegetables. If I give him anything, my very sad Finnish man is that he does encourage you to eat your veggies. Liquids I split up into drinks and bottles. And pretty much a flask can hold a number of drinks. And you always kind of want to make a thing of like, oh, well, I have some ale, but I can't put water in my ale. Like, you have to make a commitment. It's actually I should do actually let's put bad idea. The idea of grog being, if you just start mixing all your drinks together, you're gonna end up with something really shitty. It's good risk. And again, you gotta always, always keep in mind water you're drinking may not be healthy. So you want to drink carefully. Do you drink from the pond or do you try to boil it? Always gamble. And then we have just our various items. Most of these items are lifted directly from Fear and Hunger. Some, though, are kind of things that aren't in Fear and Hunger, weirdly enough. Things like lanterns, oil. There's oil, but you can only use oil to make something else. I always thought that was kind of weird. But yeah, you can get a lantern now. Lanterns are valuable. However, lanterns use a very finite resource of oil. You may not have oil for a long time. A full oil flask only contains 5 units of oil. And it only lasts 5 rooms per unit of oil inside the lantern. It's a good fucking lantern. But it's not going to last forever. It isn't going to last very long. But again, you're always going to have it. It's kind of the useful thing. We have our various throwing things. Tinder boxes. Torches, traps, very simple. And then we have weapons. Weapons, I actually stole 1-for-1 effectively from Shadow of the Demon Lord. Shadow of the Demon Lord is very helpful here. But as you see, I did bump the damages up slightly. Oh, well, I do have bumped the damages up because I wanted people to get the idea that weapons are scary. If I get hit by an axe, it's gonna hurt. And I actually added in the Dark Souls as one-handing, two-handing it, where technically anyone can one-hand or two-hand a weapon, and it's very good to one or two-hand a weapon sometimes. Some things like a battle axe, where you can use one hand and slap someone, pretty useful. Double-handing it, you add 2d8 to the damage and a +1, so you're doing 3. You're doing 6d8 plus 3. If I hit someone an exposed arm with a battle axe, that arm's coming off. It's good, but again, it's only gory. That's the big thing. It's only gory. But then you want to use things like great swords, great axes, which I should actually bump up the great axe damage a smidge. 5d10. So technically, yeah, great axes can take someone's head off immediately, but that's on purpose because it's a, you guessed it, great axe. Let's see. We have things like sabers, rapiers. This is the martial weapons. 1 or 2 hands. I might change the skills of how to do weapons. I don't know yet. But tag system is still in. However, I did change some of the tags. Some of them are a little bit different. You have things like cumbersome. It's large and awkward. But you have the option of targeting 2 limbs, which kind of works both ways. On one hand, as the person getting hit, if they aren't doing an aimed attack, it's, alright, I'm going to distribute damage in my right arm and my chest. So I've split the damage in half, but usually it's pretty big damage, so it's like, okay, I can compromise. The other half is, I'm doing an aimed attack, I can hit the head, and then I can hit the chest. Or I can hit the head and hit the right arm, or a leg, both legs. You can start targeting and doing those bigger damage to those limbs, where it's like, all right, I'm going to target both of your limbs. And suddenly you have to make a decision of, I'm going to lose both my legs now. Oh no. With the penalty of being like, it's harder to hit when you're in confined spaces, and guess where you're going to be a lot? Confined spaces. Then we have Defender, +2 to their AC. In fact, their survival rating, as long as they have it. That is only really on the Saber, and the idea being that you are using it to more parry and defend yourself with. The Saber is kind of a weird weapon. I didn't quite know what else to do with it, but I wanted to put it in because I like the idea of the Saber. The idea that it's kind of a middling tier weapon. It's not like a super scary weapon, just the idea that, hey, it can do something else. Usually it had a dual wield tag on it. But dual wielding isn't really a thing in this game unless you have a certain thing, which is more the line of, I have 2 weapons in both of my hands, I can do things with them more than anything. Finesse weapon can use ferocity or adroitness. That's kind of the big thing. Instead of just using ferocity, you can use either, which gives certain characters a big advantage and other characters not as big as one. Here's the weird one. The idea being that I am hitting you, and let's say I do 20 damage. It's going to do 20 damage to your armor, and then it's going to do 10 damage to the limb underneath that armor. So it's kind of that guaranteed damage, and what makes Pierce that scary. I thought about it for a while just to say, yeah, it deals full damage to both, but I'm like, yeah, that makes Pierce weapons really valuable. Pinpoint. All attacks are always considered aim, and you always get to choose where they go. That's really it. And rattle, coin flip, and see if they get confused. And if you hit them in the head, they're always confused. Pretty easy. Yeah, we also have Gory. Gory is another weird one. Coin flip to see if they bleed. Cool. It deals an extra D plus D, max pretty much whatever the damage is, if there is no armor. You might do an extra D8, might do an extra D6, whatever. The idea being it's literally just a bloody, gory mess, and you are slicing someone, and you could do a lot of fucking damage with Gory. And that's kind of the point. Not as many tags as other games I've written, but it was a back and forth. decision on that part, mostly just because it was mostly the part we're getting to today. Armor. Armor broke me. Armor was unfun, and the exact reason why I don't want to, I knew for a fact that I was not going to stream this section. Using the entirety of the Battle Brothers wiki, I got armor. You got armor. I've been meaning to do this for a while. I've been meaning to add in a system of just having this large amount of armor, large amount of stuff. And I did. This is armor, and it does things, and it's pretty much the protection value is the amount of damage it can sustain, which is very useful. You add up all your weight together, and that's your total weight. Pretty simple. It's not a very complicated system. But if I'm wearing like really, so for example, a character, let's say a knight. I might be wearing, let's see, let's do, fuck it, let's do a flat top helmet, because I like flat tops. $30, and he's going to have 3 weight. And let's stick with medium armor for right now. Let's see. Let's get arm guards. On both of our arms. And let's see what's our chest piece going to look like. We want a pretty solid chest piece. You know what? Let's go with the metal scale armor. Metal scale armor is our chest. Actually, no, that's heavy armor. We have to stick with medium, don't we? We want. We'll go leather lamellar. I don't fucking know. $90 with a weight of 3. And what are we looking for our legs? What are we looking for our legs? I'm thinking let's stick with leather laminar. Both of those are 60. And 3. So overall, our total weight here is going to be, let's see, 5, 7. Oh, actually, we need to get a shield as well. We'll stick with we'll keep a kite shield. Durability 30. Plus 3 to our guard, and has a weight of 4. So we're going to have a total of 5, 7, 10, 13, 16. We have a weight of 20. However, if we're fighting an enemy, let's say a weight of 19, that enemy is going to act first. Every combat, every single thing we do, they are going to act first in it. They're going to do something before we can do the thing, and we're not going to have fun doing it. They're going to be the ones who are going to be acting before you, which provides an opportunity for you to do something. You need to change something. You need to act first. Why not throw off the helmet? Your weight's now 17. If you choose the same action as them, you're now going first. You don't have protected on your head anymore, but Maybe acting a little bit faster may be beneficial. Maybe the thing that saves you. And sometimes you may want to make a decision on that. You know, let's say, for example, our chest here has seen the fucking day, and it's only at, let's say, 23 durability. It may be the best option to get rid of it. Get rid of the chest piece. See if we can't find something else. Or what do we do with it? And that's one of the things I wanted to get across. You're going to have to make decisions. Armor is a resource. And that resource isn't infinite. You're going to lose it. It's going to get damaged, and you're not going to be able to repair it. You might go in there with the shiniest piece of armor, and you're not going to exit with that same armor. But we are on what I would consider the big boy of this thing, even though this game is already 7,200 words. Like, this is a pretty big fucking game already. We are on God creation, which brings into dungeon creation and enemy creation, as well as innocence and corrupted. This is the final stretch of this game, really, is God creation. That's going to clarify everything else. Actually, and what I should say is spells as well. Because, again, everything is based on those gods. And gods are precarious creatures. So, let's see what we want to do right now. Gods and other fickle beings. Actually, their domain, gods, avatars. Actually, it should be gods, avatars, in the dungeon. The dungeon is a world unto itself. Corrupted and isolated. From the rest of the mortal world through physical or magical means. The only way out darkness is through it. Either by dissipating the evil, or by coming to an understanding with it. Understanding with it, leave. The centerpiece. Yeah, the centerpiece. Centerpiece of the dungeon. The beings that pull the strings and will influence even the voice of the dungeon. Or the gods who reside there. The voice of the inner dungeon, I should say. Honestly, I've been when kind of, dealing with things like this, I've been debating on other settings outside of fear and hunger that actually apply this logic to. And ironically, I actually thought of a few, because we have things like Pathologic in its sequel, Pathologic 2. You also have things even like Stalker, Stalker applies the same idea. Its gods aren't as direct, but it's the idea that the zone itself is kind of a hostile entity. And when you're exploring around in Stalker and the zone, you come to that understanding very quickly that you are simply part of an ecosystem. You aren't a member of anything. You're simply a small maggot on this corpse of a place, trying your best to survive day to day because you damn well know something is out there looking at you, and that something does not like you. That's the same idea, kind of the feeling I got from Pathologic as well. That alien atmosphere, that uncomfortable aura of not quite knowing what's going on. Those are the two big games that kind of came to mind, but you can also make an argument for things like Dark Souls, even. You know, not Athel Lauren. Yeah. Is that it? Am I losing my fucking mind? But every location in Dark Souls, you can't leave. There's an outside world, but your quest is there. And whether it's the first time playing or you whether it's the first time you enter Firelink Shrine or it's the second of the third, the first bit of the third game where you are coming back, you quickly will realize that, drumroll please, you're not getting out. You aren't supposed to leave until this is done, until the gods have been slain, till the last fire lit. And I think both all those settings kind of serve that purpose of being that hostile, unfriendly place. But we are going to be working with gods. Gods. A god is a being far above mortal understanding. They are massive and distant entities that care so very little about the world they control. They influence the world. They influence the world even if they don't necessarily control it. Every step in the dungeon is a step in their territory, among their people, among their property. Let's see. We want to. No, we want to make that heading. Doop. Hey, God. Before the game begins. Before the game begins, the dungeon is being created. The voice of the inner dungeon will come up with two. Actually, it would be with two to four different gods that inhabit the dungeon or have an influence over it. Each of these should be larger than the sum of their parts. Or they are simply. Each controls a specific domain and specific desires they wish. And specific desires they wish the maggots who crawl around their domain achieve. God is broken down into 5 distinct parts. Their name. Actually, no, we already have. So it's their name, so it would be their domain. Their worshippers. Their rights. Their desires. And their hates. And their what am I working for here? Actually, their worshippers. Actually, we'll do, and their desires, and we'll put in their worship, their doctrine, their worshippers, their rights, and their desires. From there, God will be in to influence the creation of the dungeon throughout its mysteries. Hello, Steam. No, Steam. I don't want you to update. Specific domain, how they're specific. Actually, yeah, it will be the God. Capital G, because these things are very big and very scary and want to eat you. And your face. Alright, so we need to define each of those parts. So, the domain. Is a broad category which dictates the broad strokes understanding of what that God can control and what they have purview over. Not every God is simply in all power. Gods are not all powerful. All powerful beings that can simply do everything, but are mostly powerful beings that can do one thing, that can do a few things that have absolute mastery over a few things. Actually, what we're gonna do throughout the explanation, let's see, we need something. Infirme. Mother Infirme. Mother Infirme. Goddess of the islands. Goddess of the islands. Medicine. And its inhabitants will serve as an example, being the patron saint, as well as god, as well as religious icon for the leper colony of Santa Randio. 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 What is a randio? I just need something that sounds... Yeah, perfect. Town in Spain. That's exactly what I'm looking for. Over a master a few things. This domain will serve at... Will the rest of the creation of the god, as well as their... actually, this domain will serve as a god for the rest of the creation of the god, as well as their broad strokes ideas. Which means what the layperson may understand about them. Another anthenome. Another anthenome. As emaciated woman with fine clothing. Actually, a heavily emaciated woman with fine clothing on, often depicted as cleaning the lepers, or possibly being one herself. Hello, phone. What am I working on? I am working on... I'm gonna actually close this fucking music. It's driving me insane. I'm working on a game called Fear and Hunger Forgotten Chronicles. It is it's gonna be found fairly... Sorry, I'm getting a ping somewhere and people... God fucking damn it. It is a game mostly based around a game called Fear and Hunger, which is a psycho game, very odd game, but I enjoy it quite a bit. Dungeon crawling. I would say it's an OSR adjacent. It is a D20 game. However, that is pretty much all the similarities with OSR that I have so far. But yeah, no, this is a project I've been working on for about a week now. Actually, it hasn't even been... about a week. Yeah, there's a lot of it. There's a lot of this game. I did not mean for it to have this much, but what happens when you start writing. The section I'm working on right now is, you could argue, to be the GM's guide, which is pretty much defining gods and such inside this horrifying dungeon environment, which is awful scary and full of things that want to kill you. So also speaking as cleaning and lepers are possibly being... Oh. Mothers of Firm's domain. Whole system. I work on systems almost exclusively. There's a kind of the implied setting, as with a lot of games. You get a basic kind of implied setting, but you can kind of do with it however you want. As I was talking about earlier, ironically enough, this game would actually serve as a really decent game to run a pathologic game in. I wouldn't say full-on Dark Souls, but if you tried really hard, you probably could make it work for Dark Souls. But the big thing with like Fear and Hunger that kind of drew me to the game is that it has an entire combat system based around limb-based damage. And one of the smartest things you can do in that game is chop off an enemy's arms. So I'm like, hey, you know what? let's do it. Let's screw around and see what I can actually make work. And the 7,500 words and like 50 pages I'm in so far has proven there's a lot of stuff. Healing and disease. Turn the music down just a smidge. Let's see. Mother and Phantom as the man is twin order being healing and disease. She's both a caretaker and a creator of diseases. A fact which many would. Creator of diseases, which her so roughly speaking, let's see, this is page 45. Okay, yeah, so about page 6 to 45 are exclusively rules. And even hell, the section I'm working on right here, the idea of the gods and such, that's also going to be wouldn't be like say a significant part of the rules, but definitely a part of them. Because the idea is the dungeon being rolled up is going to be reflected by the gods in question. So every room you would roll up, you're going to have to roll up of who's influencing that room, which of the gods is going to be influencing it. So in an ideal situation, in a perfect world, what should occur is you can make a world, make a setting, get a few gods, and be able to run it even with the same group multiple times and get something completely different each time. Because the rooms are going to be different, the people are going to be different, the situations are going to be changed. And that was one of the ideas behind Fear and Hunger, is that every dungeon you go into is randomized. But there are these kind of like key points that are always established. Oh, also, thank you for following. Gotta update that now. Let's see. 56 followers, 44 to 100. And that's one of those things, like, I have to do this boring stuff first before I get to the meaty, crunchy rules. But that's what I usually do with these games. A lot of setup and setting up and knocking down. And this is the setup. Is Fear and Hunger my game? Absolutely not. It is written by a very sad Finnish man. And you should totally buy it, in case that sounds interesting to you. It's, let me see. There we go. It's by a guy named Miro Haravin. It's a very odd game. Very uncomfortable. Art is very good. I wonder if I can find... It has some definite features in it. I'm trying to see what it's like. But yeah, you can find it. It's a game for Windows, Mac, Linux. It is also on Steam, in case you want to buy it on Steam. It's usually like $8. What it is here, give me one second. There is the video game Fear and Hunger, which I bought at the behest of a friend, and he effectively said, "Hey, this game is awesome and pretty much made by a single very sad Finnish man, and you should totally buy it to support him." And I'm like, "Oh, all right, cool." Bought it, played it, fell in love with it. I fell in love with the atmosphere. I fell in love with the feelings behind it. Every single part of that game sang to me. And then I said, I'm gonna do something for it. Make a homebrew game based on it, which is where Fear and Hunger Forgotten Chronicles come in. Hence why I have all of these little notifications everywhere of like, hey, yeah, totally buy Fear and Hunger, because the game is fantastic. And am I being paid to do this? Absolutely not. I just really like Fear and Hunger, and I want more people to play it and more people to buy it. Because the more people who buy it, the better. Because it's a great game. No worries. Again, you are kind of popping in and like in the middle of my big explanation streams of how everything are. You're popping in right in the middle, so don't worry about that. And these are my usual egregious shit posts when it comes to my title cards. Yeah, well, it's. I would like to believe I'm a professional who does professional things for professional. No, I'm just a shit poster. Let's see. Even though he actually has a new game coming out soon. It's Fear and Hunger Termina. Same world, different setting, different location. The weird thing too is that it's all built in fucking RPG Maker, which still amazes me. Like that game should not work in RPG Maker, but it completely fucking does. It's great. Let's see. We both caretaker and creators. Hey, don't worry. I like talking to people. That's why I actually stream. Like it's. Let's see. Yeah, I started doing all these streaming things mostly just so I could. I don't know if you've ever heard the term rubber duck developing before, but just to be able to talk sometimes actually helps in getting concepts and ideas across. So it's always nice to get people actually talking in here. Yeah, fucking RPG Maker. Then that still bamboozles my brain. I'm like, yeah, no, I did it in RPG Maker, Lamau. I mean, like, how? Why? That's a no. Doctrine. Okay. Well, most people would understand the most surface level of the doctrine. The deeper it goes, the deeper it goes, the more confused it ends up being. Often God will have many separate doctrines, dependent on where in their religion or cult members stand. Creating the doctrine into inner for outer and inner doctrines. One for basic worshippers, and one for the clergy. As the characters delve and interact with the various adherents of the god, following this doctrine may be the difference between life and death. Mother Infirmi's doctrine is half Hippocratic Oath and half religious symbolism. Her outer doctrine is simple: heal the wounded, ease the suffering of the masses, and provide shelter for those without. Some variations. That's what I like to hear. I like to hear when people talk about board game design and game design in general. That's my thing. For better or for worse, I've become the RPG man who does RPG game design stuff for reasons. Let's see. Oh god, it begins. It's April 1st now, and that means everyone's gonna start the April 1st shit posting. See, I hate April Fools. Fun fact, I hate April Fools. Because you get like 5,000 different people showing up. I mean, it's like, aha, here's the funny joke now. Here's the funny, haha. Being like, oh god, please stop. Let's see, provide shelter for those with that. The extremes, while are draconian in their free medical assistance. Suggestions, while others are draconian in their free medical assistance doctrine. However, the inner doctrine is a tad more complicated. Mother Infirme doesn't actually want people cured of disease. The doctor priests, the doctor bishops, and surgeon clerics of the cult understand Mother Infirme's gifts are a sign of good fortune and strong body. Therefore, actually curing diseases is more important than preventing them. most medicines and other life-saving tools that are not church approved find themselves under heavy scrutiny. The rigorous processes of the inner cabals of approving or disapproving various procedures has cost the lives of many. Certain aspects of Mother Affirmes aspects of Mother Affirmes have also taken it upon themselves to spread her love among members of the community in more ways than one. Those who understand Mother Infirme's love also understand her cruel intentions. Yeah, if you haven't kind of got the idea behind Mother Infirme is that she really likes taking care of people. And by taking care of people, I mean she likes to make sure they don't actually leave. It's the, don't worry, I'm cured. I'm like, wait a second, what do I do to prevent this? Prevent? No, we want you back in here. The balls. Let's see. Yeah, no, the sample setting I kind of made for this, and what I'm gonna have to do at the very end, like this is what a basic idea would be, is a Santa Arandio, which is pretty much picture a leper colony off the coast, which is effectively there's one bridge in, one bridge out. You aren't leaving in any way. Water is it's pretty much Alcatraz for the lepers. And the party has been sent in, and they are not leaving. The full lockdown, there's a disease breaking out. Find the person who started the disease and stop it. That is the goal, that is the entire thing. However, I think one can probably see that this isn't going to be a good, this isn't going to be a happy-go-lucky adventure where everyone comes out alive. Abso-fucking-lutely not. You don't get to be happy where we're going. I've been working on this idea for a while now, so I have my notes around here somewhere. I've wrote it down before in like 2 a.m. Be like, my God, I'm a genius. Is it scribbles? Yes. Let's see. Their doctrine, their worshippers. Do I need to put worshippers? Yeah, no, the worshippers. Actually, what we can actually put here is, instead of worshippers, we already kind of have an idea of who's worshiping. We can always assume that the people in there there's some worshippers and not. We can put in there. How do I want to do this? There we go. Anchors. That's the term I'm going to use. World. What's our power? Power is existence. Power is existence. Domain. Words are power. This particular one, there's going to be 3. But the idea, the reasons why I'm kind of putting in all these like things here is you yourself, as the game master, are going to be making your own. With the idea of being like, yeah, no, when you like, please fill this out. Get an idea of like, what's my domain? What's their doctrine? What are their anchors? What are their rights and desires? I'm using this one. This particular setting, I think, has, if I believe, it's 3. Because, yeah, you had the Plague Mother, Fighter Man, who wants to kill everyone because he really hates all life, and Science question mark man, which the idea is they are fucking with the island that they're on is getting fucked with because a massive evil disease was ripping through this leper colony, turning people undead. And you have the doctors who don't really want to cure anything. You have the blood sport people. Yeah, that's the idea. If there's a procedural god system and you use to run a procedural dungeon, hell yeah. Actually, no, I should put that's kind of the idea of being like, in an ideal world, in a perfect world, what you would do is run it for once, have people go through it, be like, all right, this was cool, and then you can be able to run it again. Same setting, same characters, same everything, but the maps changed. The situations change. Instead of, oh, I'm an adherent of Mother Infirme, and I kind of understand what's going on, and ha ha ha. Undead Colony Island? No, that's the thing I just kind of came up with, because the idea behind Fear and Hunger, to me anyway, is take an isolated place, and in that isolated place, something bad is happening. Something really bad. It's cut off, you have limited resources, and you are on a time limit. There's something wrong. During play. That's the idea of during play. Do I know how to do that? Absolutely not, but I can wing it. The actual base setting from the game is called the Dungeon of Fear and Hunger, which is a literally isolated dungeon in the middle of nowhere that has gone radio silent. And the characters are sent in. The player characters sent in for one of 4 different missions. It's the mercenary has to find the captain of the dungeon. The outlander wants to kill the captain of the dungeon. The knight wants to do terrible, terrible things to the captain of the dungeon, and the dark priest wants to learn what's going on there. You're always trying to find that captain of the dungeon, but their perspective on how they approach it's very different. It's, I need to make sure that you come out alive. I need to kill you. I want to have babies with you. Or I want to make sure that you understand what the hell you're getting into and help me contact elder gods. Like, the idea of kind of like this isolated leper colony was the idea of it's cut off, it's distant, there's no way out. And you're always kind of dealing with that lack of food, resources, armor, weapons, and dealing how combat's really dangerous. Yeah, it's entirely likely that, your first combat encounter, you may get your leg chopped off. So what? That's the fun part. Nothing says fun like, screaming in pain. Let's see the nail. Let's see, anchors. Anchors form the gods. How do I want to word this? Anchors are. Yeah, it's. Now, luckily, luckily, I actually have a system for that. It can be one-shotted, or you can go for a much longer game, kind of depending on how you want to do things. It's kind of your decision. I generally kind of write for that idea, but I write my games like I do for my friends, which we run really short sessions because we live in like a lot of different time zones. My one friend lives in the Midwest, and two of my other players live in the UK. So you have like my sessions are usually like 2-3 hours long. So like a one shot game doesn't really work for us. So what I end up tend to do is my games can be run for these really long or really short. Kind of my thing. The only game I've really written that was for like one shots was Morons with Pedigrees. But that's kind of the entire point. But yeah, a lot of the base characters are you kind of you're setting up your own story. It's like, yeah, I am a barbarian, I am a foreigner, and here's a bunch of my basic skills. You already get the idea. Finally, finally another person understands. Thank you. I tell people this, being like, yeah, no, my sessions are usually like 2 hours, and people look at me like I'm insane. They're just like, what? No, no. And then I have some other people be like, oh, I run like 7 hour games. I'm like, how? How do you do this? It's too much. I mean, more power to them. More power to them. The people who can run like these massive games. I can't. I get like so burnt out. Uh, Anchors are defined places. Actually, we cut anchors. Bring back worshippers, cut anchors. Oh yeah, no, I understand. I used to GM for kids. It is it is a different experience. Do I ever want to go back to doing that? Maybe. I will. People like poo poo kids being like, oh man, those kids don't know how to play role playing games. Those little fuckers are the most ingenious people you have ever met. They have come up with decision making processes that looks alien to everyone else. I'm like, this makes complete sense. I'm running this game for these kids. I'm just like, you little psychopaths. I love it. Like, come on, Munchkins. Yeah, what was that one time? Oh yeah, it was a bunch of goblins in a cave, and the goblins had some dogs. They the idea was like, here's some goblins, here are their dogs, and here's some like wolves that they're riding, and like, all right, here's some adventure time. Oh no 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 no! These kids did not want to hurt the doggies. And that's a big thing. If they can understand the system, yeah, they did not want to hurt the doggies. So they gave treats to doggies. Uh, yeah, no, that was not fun for the goblins. Everyone got puppies then. It was like, here's your dogs. So what if they're, 60-pound warhounds? Fuck it. Yeah, no, it's always odd with kids because kids can be little psychopaths though. You can understand. They don't like when that animalistic bloodlust is in the back of their minds. I'm like, I've never seen savagery on a level such as like when kids get a hold of something like, oh God. When you get done, like I had to do it for back in my high school. We had a program for kids who were kind of quiet, and the counselor for it actually approached me, being like, "Hey, we have like a group of kids who were like really interested in D&D. They found it, they wanted to play it, and I knew her son, she knew me, and be like, can you just run something for them? They'd love it." I'm like, all right, I can do it, and it's great. And then it's like that one little moment, being it's like, oh no, oh no. Yeah, no, what looking the horror on the face of the counselor as you submit the report, man. Like, yep, this is what happened. Being like, oh my God, this is terrible. Why'd they do this? Being this like they literally saw the numbers in their favor. Like, don't question it. They like, yeah, don't question it. The Munchkins are the Munchkins know. I am always fascinated in RPGs though that are focused on kids. Focused on kids. That's a weird way of wording that, but I have like an emphasis on like kids playing them because you get some weird design choices, and I always find that interesting. So yeah, God, what was that one? Let's see, what's that? Drive through RPG. There was one series of books that I've been trying to find forever. Where are you? Ah, here he is. This fucking series, Hero Kids. I do not understand this thing. This is an adamantine seller. Like these things sold like fronted like thousands of copies. And it's not just one. Oh no, no, no. There are multiple books of this, and they're all like adamantine or mithril sellers. Like these are thousands of books each. And it's a game for kids. And I've been trying to find information. Like nobody knows about it. And I keep asking, like, I always ask people, like, in the circle, being like, hello, people, do you know about Hero Kids? Like, one of the best selling games on Drive Through RPG. They're like, yeah, we know nothing about it. It's like, what? That's really weird. Where's the other one? Where are the other one that I found? It was. Wait, no. The Pandemonium. No, I can't find it. But there is actually a company in in Spain. Yeah, no, just to give you the idea, 110 products have the adamantine seller, and they're all fucking hero kids. Like hero kids, hero kids, hero kids, hero kids, hero kids, hero kids. Like it's insane. And they're like $10 too. They're like 10, $3. Like this is money. Man. But there's a Spanish company that does a lot of games like that. In fact, I know one game, Steven Universe Tabletop RPG. Where is it? The really janky... where are you? Ah, here we go. Jogadello. This company. Oop. No, that's not it. But yeah, no, there's this company out in Spain that does like this absurd number of kid RPGs. Like that's like their bread and butter. It's very odd. I'm fascinated by that company. And they have a bunch of games that are really interesting and really cool, but it'll never get translated. I've been thinking about yelling at a friend of mine who speaks Spanish to translate it. Yeah, that's why I make a point to try to learn as much as I can about RPGs and find people in the circles and like, hey, you want this? Here you go. You want thing? I know what you're looking for. Here you go, boo boo. Let's see. A god demands worship. This is safety and power. There are 3 tiers. For a god. It would be masses, the clergy, and avatars. The masses are on the block by noble and treachery. They know only what the clergy has taught them, and little else. They provide. They are the bulk of the worshippers of the faith, however. Not all gods desire the mass. Not all gods desire numbers, though. Some demand more specialized individuals. The clergy are the learned few. People who understand the finer points of the religion and can understand the vast mysteries that the god provides. While there may be different tiers and ranks, the clergy holds a certain power over the masses. Finally, avatars. All right, see ya. Get some sleep. Yeah. I've been streaming for an hour and a half. Fuck. Get this section done though. Finally, avatars. Avatars are the perfect reflection, perfect words. That's what they are. The perfect words. They are the perfect example faithful, the faithful, or the polar opposite of such. Avatars represent the god on the mortal plane. Mortal plane is either the antithesis or their herald to a better day. Avatars are terrifying, are powerful, knowledgeable, but few may simply be fools, the wrong place, the wrong time. Mother Infirme. Mother Infirme's church aims at all residents of the island are part of her flock. Ugh, God. I got something to drink. Ah, I'm gonna have a 6-pack tomorrow. I think that'll be good. Can you believe today's already Thursday? God. This week went by fast. It's like it barely happened. Maybe I was just too busy doing stuff. Stuff and things. Let's see. Another information. We're a flock, but all doctors, and but all medical professionals. Those must be licensed through the church's services and clerical studies. The avatar of Mother Infirme. An avatar of Mother Infirme. Let's see, the avatar Mother Infirme. Sir Baldwin. Sir Baldwin Ravenka. Ravinsa. No, we aren't going to Ravincia. I don't want to go to Magic Town. Let's see, called Baleo. Sir Baldwin Baleo. A hulking man driven to madness, holds down guards the sacred temple complex of Mother Infirme. Is for Baldwin Balea, hulking man driven to madness, the guard sacred temple complex. Infected with dozens. These, in addition to his own heavily advanced leprosy. He is a little more than a shadow of the brave knight he once was. Now simply a husk of who he was. Every avatar. Every avatar has a unique soul. One that may be of interest to other gods, or even their patron. He once was, now simply a husk of who he was. A blind seeing. The Porasi. But yeah, we have the idea of pretty much I picture Baldwin and the idea of being like, okay, we need to get to the church. Baldwin's guarding the church. And this is what it means by some of these. Depending on who's playing, you might have different outcomes of the same thing. On some playthroughs of this dungeon, of this situation, of this scenario, fighting Baldwin might be the only option. However, if you learn, say, hey, Baldwin has, someone he cares about on the island. He has this one doctor lady who he was enamored with and is still enamored with. He might be completely insane at this point, but he still has this deep affection for her. And what happens if you bring her scarf? Pretty much her thing saying, this is who she is. Doesn't matter how you get it. If a woman's wearing that, he might think it's her and just let you pass. Or if you bear the mark of Mother Infirme, he's going to let you pass. So it's kind of that idea of here's a situation. Here's Baldwin. Here's how do we solve. You can brute force his way, you can kill him, or you can start doing something else. Okay, Baldwin's going to protect that church regardless. But what happens if you screw with Baldwin, if you deceive him, if you do things that allow him to do things? And this is what it means by those kind of like subsequent plays can bring out different ideas. You might go in there first and not know anything. You're going in blind. But the second time through, those same players are looking at it and being like, well, Baldwin has all these different things. He's going to fuck us up if we fight him. There's no fucking way we can fight Baldwin. But we learned last time we were here, that he has this woman that he likes. And we know this woman. Okay, we're gonna find this woman. We want to talk to her. Okay, we've talked to her. We've established what she wants, what she's like. Cool. And then it's, hey, Baldwin's okay with this. Or hey, we brought her along with us, and now he's letting us in. We're smart. We're playing. Metagame knowledge a little bit, but you got to kind of build up to it. Well, we know about this woman. Let's find her and say, hey, do you know Baldwin? Like, yeah, I know Baldwin. Bum, and then you have the conversation go. Boom, role playing. Now we get to do the rights. How do I want to word this? We want to do this. Power rights. Every god has rights dedicated to them. But to many, these rights are simply called spells. has rites dedicated to them, including a number of spells. Members of their cults and magicians who understand the finer points of power may learn and use. Let's see, each god will have a series of rites their worshippers will be able to perform, as well as a series of spells in both white and actually be black and white, both black and white varieties that allow spells in both black and white varieties that allow their worshippers to perform their deeds. Black and white spells are dangerous. They tap into the natural power of the world and attempt to harness the madness surrounding it. Each spell has an associated associated mind cost to be able to use successfully. However, once the cost is paid, the spell will occur. There is no to hit, no ifs, ands. There's the spell. A spell, actually, what I should say is a spell. If targeted at an enemy, will always hit. A spell if targeted at an enemy will always hit them, unless they have some sort of protection against them, which few, if any, mindless creatures would possess. Now I'm going to put a side note for white and black magic, I think that's going to probably be the best option. So, Mother Infernum. Rites and spells. Cleansing of the infection. Actually, cleansing of dirt. 15 mind. Remove an infection from a body part. White, 15 mind. Remove an infection from a body part. Would be some harden the blood. White, 20 mind. Remove the bleeding condition. Touch of the mother. White, 10 mind. Restore 2d. Restore 2d6 body to a limb. Infestation. Actually, what would be an appropriate? Oh, cancerous growths. Black. 30 mind. Deal 3d10 health to 3d health to a target. We'll do shutdown. Actually, what would be another? What would be an appropriate? Oh yeah. It would be black bile. What's the humors? Humors. Yellow bile, black bile. Oh God, we have to do it again. All right, time to make fun of this guy. Time to make fun of someone. Oh, time to make fun of him. Time to make fun of whatever the fuck this dude's name is. WGHOLZ Kelf Wigglepoffs. They're 10717. Congratulations. You're officially a complete jackass and a subhuman creature. Let's all make fun of you for a minute. Oh, give me 1 second. Gotta bring out the... Alright, now I get to ban you like I do every single one of you fuckers. I don't know why people think I like want to be famous. That's always like one of those bits that like just amuse me to no end. Hey, want to get famous? Why don't you just buy followers, Lamau? I mean, like, that's not being famous. That's just buying followers. It's like buying views to a music video. I'm like, that ain't how this works, mate. That ain't how this works at all. I need music. And we've officially hit that point in the stream where I get very tired. I can't think properly. But I want to get all this shit done. Actually, we want to... It's, deal 5d8 body damage to a limb of choice. Actually, we want to do... Yeah, I had a weird right to this thing. Mother's Embrace, 50 mind. You're going to go fucking insane if you use this, you crazy bastard. We're going to do white, 60 mind. Transfer disease to another individual. Mutagenic understanding. We'll do that. Black. We'll call it at 50 mind. Grow a new body part. Permanently by 25. Reduce health permanently by 25. Hey, I get my arm back. That shame about me being half dead. But literally taking a quarter of my, taking a solid chunk of my life, an eighth of my life away. Actually, we'll call it humorous transformation. Black bile whip. Not black bile whip. Cleansing the dirt, harden the blood. Humoric transformation. And we're actually going to make a new. And we're going to actually give her a big right. Actually, we'll call it a facsimile. Facsimile of man. 30 mind to... Actually, no. Facsimile of man. Combine a cancerous growth. Blood of... Vial of blood. A vial of stomach bile. Let's see, cancerous growth, vial of blood, vial of stomach bile. Vial, not vial. Vial is a real vial, you know that? God bless the English language. That's all I gotta say. God bless this God bless this mess. Cancerous growth, vial of blood, vial of stomach bile. Would be, so that's red. Blood, yellow bile, black bile. That's the cancerous growth and phlegm. And a bot. The cancerous growth would be black bile. Okay. What am I want to say? A vial of combined cancerous growth, vial of blood, vial of stomach bile, and a vial of spit. Mixing with the mother's milk. Mother's milk to create a fax. Create a copy. Copy of a creature. A copy of the copy of a copy of the entities of the various parts. So the idea being, let's say I'm going to use my cancerous growth, I'm going to use my friend's vial of blood, I'm going to use someone else's stomach bile, and I'm going to use someone else's vial of spit, and we combine it all together, and we have someone who is a combination of all of us to make a horrifying chimera person. Are they an abomination of God? Yes, they are. Should they be killed? Probably. Do we have to deal with it now? Yes. Now we get to make a side note. Side note. Spells and rights. Spells abilities that a single character who understands the spell can cast successfully. With the ability to being dangerous or intensive to learn, being intensive to know about. When creating a spell, consider whether it is a quote friendly or hostile spell to determine if it is a white or black magic. From there, the cost in mind should reflect the value as well as what's actually occurring. White magic tend to be either cheap or very expensive. Expensive mind-wise, while black magic tends to be fairly in the middle, be fairly middling in cost. No spell costs 100 mind, as that would be instantly lethal. but not saying that one can cost 99, mind. Rights. Rights are not spells, but simply a series of a series of rites and passages needed to understand, needed to create or perform a large spell, or create something related to the god in question. Rites take no mind to use, but often have the unfortunate quality of requiring ingredients which are usually not willing to be parted with that easily. And the character has the option to take a white or black magic spell. They may instead sub it out for a right of their choice. What do I mean by that this little last bit? Unfortunate quality of requiring ingredients which are usually not willing to be parted with. The idea there is, like, one of the big rites in the original Fear and Hunger game is the marriage, which is a Sylvan rite. The Sylvan, all it requires is you be on the magic circle and have 2 willing participants. That's it. However, the end result is you fusing together as a horrifying abomination of God. So, take that as thy will. Take that as thy will. You know, like, it's, if you don't want to lose a character, they're going to burn you alive and, or, you know, try to kill you. Let's see, calls to power. All right, we have our final section here. We just need to do their desires. Fickle beings, desires. All gods have desires. Something they want. Something they want to happen, or things that make them angry. Gods who are pleased with the party often have gifts waiting for them if they desire them. While at a shrine dedicated to that god, one can make sacrifices, donations, or anything else, or even just recite the proper prayers and truly mean it to gain their favor. Every god's favor is measured from -10 to 10. The higher it is, actually, the more extreme it is, the more the god has an investment investment in the group. Boons, banes, everything else. Boons and banes are both available to those who anger the gods as well as amuse them. But remember, one is but a simple little, one is but a speck in the grand cosmic scale of their understanding. One may petition them for additional assistance, or have their followers come to their aid if need be. Are also available to those who anger the gods as well as amuse them. Remember, one Mother Anthelme and the Mother Anthelme. Others Anthelme's desires, curing of the ill, hunting down those who go against, hunting down heretics, being infected with the disease. What would be some others for her? She enjoys minor souls. She doesn't like greater souls. She likes minor souls. And let's see, proper procedure. Proper procedure in medical sciences. Damnation of the medical sciences. And opposition to Grothin's followers. Grothin mad. Mother Infirme does not like Grothin. Grothin bad. Grothin evil. Minor souls, her followers' souls. That's her desires. That's what she wants. She's very happy if you do, and very, very angry at you if you don't. What would be do not mercy kill. Not mercy kill. Do no harm. Do no harm to a patient, even if they beg. But yeah, so the idea being here is Mother Infirme really likes it if you are infected with a disease. Doesn't really matter what, as long as you are infected, she's going to like you a little bit more. If you cure people who are sick using the proper procedures anyway, she likes it. She doesn't really like people using medical science. She doesn't like doctors. She likes her cleric surgeons. She likes her priest doctors. That's who she likes. She doesn't like anyone else. This little section right here is effectively, if someone is lying on the table, they say, "Hey, I'm not gonna make it. I don't want to suffer anymore. Kill me. Just kill. If you mercy kill me, it's a good thing." Yeah, you can. Yeah, and if you do that, she's not gonna like it. Actually, every god's. Each of their, actually, I'll say, each of their various desires measured as either minor or major. Minors increase by 1. Minors have a small bonus. Following a minor desire grants a +1. So, while following a major desire grants a +3. However, breaking a minor desire grants a -2, while breaking a major desire grants a -6. She does not. She does not like it when you work with Rothan's followers. She doesn't like that. All right, so we've got our basic amount of what I'm going to do. I'm going to take this. We're called Gods in the Dungeon. We have our various how to God effectively. Yes. Okay. So since we've got the how to God section, we've got how spells are made. We've got God creation done. Oh no. Calm down. Notepad, please. What is it? Control Alt S? Alt S? Control S? Control Shift S? No, I don't want to do that. I just want to strike through. What's the strike through one? Now I'm getting curious. Alt Shift 5. Why is it Alt Shift 5 of all damn things? Alt Shift 5. Okay, there we go. So next we're going to have to do dungeon creation, enemy creation, and then innocent corrupted characters, and we're done. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to call it here for today. And if things go according to plan, we may be able to actually finish this game up on Friday. That's going to be the tentative goal right now, is if we can wrap it up on Friday, awesome. If not, I'm not going to like throw my hands up and cry, but it do what it do. So thank you all for watching. Godspeed, good luck. I hope you all have a wonderful rest of your day. I will catch you all on Friday, where we will possibly finish up